What's up, everyone? I'm Scott,
And I'm Jason.
and you're listening to Liquid Carnage. My friend, uh, the season is upon us. It is Super Bowl season,
Yes.
and I have to admit, I am not thrilled.
I will tell you, I had maybe 7 or 8 people in the last few days ask me, did I watch the championship games, what I think about the Super Bowl. And I tell them the same thing. I didn't watch either of the championship games. I While I hope it's a good game, I really could care less.
Yeah.
I don't have any vested interest in either of the games. And so because of that, I this is a first for me. I'm not really vested. I could care less whether either team wins.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. I'm kind of the same way, and I watched both games. I know you didn't, but I did. I watched both, and I I have never felt like in such a long time that the officiating played a direct role in not one but two games that decided who was going to the Super Bowl. You
Wow.
know, and if you go down that conspiracy theory road of the sports is rigged and whatnot, it felt very much like that in a few key moments in both the AFC and NFC championship games. So I have to admit, man, I'm just not like I'll have the game on. People will come. People are coming over. I'm cooking. But if I don't watch the game, there's commercials. There's Chris
Even that
Stapleton.
though, even that though, there's so many companies that aren't doing the Super Bowl commercials this year. Like
Yeah,
big names of companies that used to do it that don't.
yeah. It feels like it's an off year, and I know they want you to get pumped for it because it's the best teams in each conference. It's Philadelphia, it's Kansas City, it's all this stuff. But really, I think outside of those two cities, a lot of it's just meh.
Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously the Super Bowl's in Phoenix this year, and what the NFL has done to basically corner the 2 week market between the championship games and the Super Bowl to make money for the NFL. Um, I bet they don't give two shits
Yeah.
whether the game is good or not. Uh, I'll give you an example. Ron Jaworski has a cigar and drinks night that they do during the Super Bowl week,
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically celebrities, sports people having cigars, drinking cocktails for 4 hours. I
Yeah.
thought to myself, I'm kind of becoming a little bit of a cigar aficionado. I'm starting to become a little bit of a booze hound when it comes to drinking and smoking. Let me see it. Maybe I'll go because I'll be in town on that Thursday. So let me see if I'll go. Yeah, the starting ticket was $500
Yeah. Yeah.
for 4 hours, and I imagine that that doesn't include everything. That probably gets your ticket, maybe get you a cigar, maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know, but it's going to be sold out. And in Phoenix, there are events like this all week and a half.
Oh,
There are
yeah.
these events like this. So I'm sure that the money that the NFL is making on the marketing of this is way more than, well, maybe not the ticket sales, but it's a lot. It is a
But
lot.
you have to figure the same goes for the Pro Bowl up in Las Vegas. It's no longer the Pro Bowl where it's an actual football game. It's a skills competition and flag football game, coached by the Manning brothers, who appear to be everywhere these days for the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
There you go. Okay.
I have to go up there this weekend. I have to. I purchased a suit and it's getting tailored, so I need to go pick it up. And I thought, well, Sunday's a great day to go do that. I wonder, maybe flag football would be fun. You need to take the kids, get them out of the house, show them, they can get in the stadium, have a good time. It is $150 for a cheap seat to watch flag football. So that's out.
Well, and we talked about this before, maybe not on one of the episodes, but during just in our private conversation. Everyone talks about inflation is killing me. Oh my gosh, I don't know what. I have to make choices between my roof over my head and medications. I've been to a couple sporting events this year.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't seem like anyone was slowing down any of their spending on the concessions
Oh
and
no, yeah, I agree.
paraphernalia. So it was a reminder to me that we want to bitch and complain about inflation, But the reality is, most of us are blessed enough that, yeah, we're paying more than we want to pay. It's not going to stop me from going to football games. It's not going to stop me from buying my favorite jersey. It's not going to stop me from doing the things that I like to do. So, and in sports more than anything else, I mean, people have complain about spending $5 for a cup of coffee, but they have no problem spending $5,000 to go to the Super Bowl or $10,000 to go to the Super Bowl. So
And I get that's a once in a lifetime experience for most people, and you want to spend, you have to spend sometimes to make your dreams come true, and I get that. I completely get that, and
oh, okay.
if Arizona were to ever make it again, I would not be, if I had the means to go see the game, I would try to figure it out, because I understand how rare those opportunities are, being a sports fan of a team or a series of teams that are perpetually falling short. So you want to make the most of it, just in case. But you're right, you still have to draw the line. But I think if you're going to a sporting event, you make that conscious decision that you're going to spend, $16 a beer, yeah, for the tall beer. So you're going to spend upwards toward $100 that day on alcohol alone, and you have to figure out how you're going to set aside for that.
Yeah, well, and the food, and
Yeah,
like I said, jerseys are $100 now. I mean,
they're
a
more than
jerseys,
150.
yeah, 150. Sorry, $150 for a jersey now.
Yeah,
And so I don't feel too bad for the NFL.
no,
They 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 they. They've turned into such a, I mean, and you like what you say about Roger Goodell, but he's turned that into a multi-billion-dollar business.
yeah,
I get it. I'm sure that's why the owners keep him in, because ultimately, when Jerry Jones could sell the Dallas Cowboys for $5 billion, he's
mhm.
very happy that Roger Goodell was the
Well,
commissioner of his league.
you have to figure the Phoenix Suns just sold for $4 billion, so that means the Dallas Cowboys are probably closer to $6 to $7 billion now if they were ever to be sold.
That's true. Yeah, it's all relative. And he bought the team, what, 25 years ago for 400 million or
No,
800 million, something like.
1988,
Okay, and he bought the team for,
like $400 million. You're right, something like that.
yeah. So that's not a bad investment.
No,
That's not
I'd
a
say
bad
I'd say
investment.
he more than has made his money back on that a few times. So it's definitely worthwhile. It's just sometimes it's just frustrating because you hope you watch the games and you hope that the officials don't get in the way of two quality teams going at it. And you had a case where, I'll use the AFC for examples, with the Chiefs and the Bengals. That's a solid rivalry now between Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. And there were a few plays there in the fourth quarter, or calls by the officials, that really makes you go, that doesn't seem right. And even with their explanation, because that's still sketchy at best.
Yeah.
So it's just, you don't like to see that happen. You don't like to
Do you
see
think
them get in the way of the outcome of the game.
do you think that the NFL will ever get so big that people like resort to smaller level sports because it's just they're done with the monster, the monster that is the NFL. We're done with it.
I
Um,
I think it's inevitable. I think what happens with that is you'll see the rise of soccer, which you're already seeing happening in America. Major League Soccer took about 20-25 years to get a foothold in this country, and now you're starting to see the smaller teams and the different divisions like UEFA has over in Europe, where you can be relegated and you can move up and you can move down in your leagues. So I think once Americans catch on to what happens in the world of the soccer leagues with relegation and promotions and demotions, I think ultimately that will be bigger than football. I think it's going to take another generation or two.
well, they just made an announcement that I guess Larry Fitzgerald has bought a pickleball team
Yeah,
or has a pickleball division or something. He and a few other sports people from the
the
Phoenix
Valley.
area have bought a pickleball. And I'm watching them kind of tell the story about the pickleball. I thought, I don't know why, but I would probably enjoy this, watching this pickleball game with people, just batting around, as I would with major league tennis, but professional tennis or
Well,
anything else. And I'm thinking, now this is just a small game, right? This is not a big game. but there's something more enjoyable about just the authenticity where you don't have to realize that, oh, the refs are throwing these calls so that one team has a better advantage over the other.
But isn't
Or
isn't pickleball just tennis, like ping
uh,
pong tennis hybrid?
I don't know. I watched Larry Fitzgerald like totally slam on some guy and then get right in his face. He never did that in professional football, but in pickleball, he feels no problem with like making someone feel like they're about 3 feet tall.
Huh,
Yeah, it was
that's
awesome.
impressive.
Yeah, because he even got the camera. Because no one's gonna show me up, man. Nobody's gonna. It's like, wow, Larry, woo, retirement's giving you some energy,
Wow,
buddy.
wow. I'll have to go research and watch some clips on YouTube of pickleball. I watched a short thing on it, I think on ESPN, like the Pickleball Celebrity Classic or whatever else, which
Yeah.
I'm not sure you can call it a classic if it's the first year out. But the few minutes I watched it looked like just tennis on a smaller scale with partners.
Oh, totally. I think also too, it's very big in retirement communities, like active living retirement communities.
Mm-hmm.
Like more and more of the ones that we've seen commercials for. Pickleball is something that they sell as a as
Well,
a
I
key
know
feature of why you would want to move there. So
I know it's big here in our community up in Kingman when
oh
the weather's nice. It's gotten very big over the last couple of years where they converted tennis courts at our local park to pickleball courts. So it leads me to believe that this is a sport that you and I could go pro in if it came down to it, and we could probably make a decent living the way it's going.
Well, and I will tell you this real quick on the soccer. After the World Cup, you know how YouTube has the algorithm that once you watch one video, it like gives you more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the video I looked up was the highlights of Messi in
Yeah,
the World Cup. Well, then they start throwing these videos of the reason why Messi was the greatest ever, and you start watching these videos and you're looking at this one performer, but there's probably others, and it seems so much more authentic than what I've taken for granted with football. Like we
yeah.
get mad at a receiver that doesn't you know can't hold on to the ball. We get mad at him and pissed off, or we get mad at a running back who fumbles or doesn't run good. You start watching those soccer videos, and I can see why the Europeans and the Africans and everybody else in the world loves soccer, because it's just pure. I mean, it's purely insane how these players do that
No,
all without their hands. I mean, all the stuff that Messi was doing in these clips was without his
I,
hands. I mean, unbelievable.
and I think you brought up a key point to why something like a sport like soccer or even pickleball will explode over the next probably decade plus in America. It's YouTube. We don't take television or entertainment traditionally like through the television anymore. We can watch short clips on YouTube or the internet to learn about these games, to see who the great players are, to figure out, how to do all the things and where to get the equipment. So I think you'll see a rise in sports like that. You might even see like rugby and cricket, which are huge worldwide, except for America, take a giant leap here once Americans figure out how to actually play the game and keep the score.
Well, at the time it was just a funny joke of the movie, but the Ocho, right? ESPN,
Yeah,
the Ocho. And now it's getting more and more where that's not way out of the possibility. I mean, there are certain sports, certain I can't even call them sports per se, but let's just call them sports loosely. Certain sports that are out there that I've never even watched on a
Jason.
regular basis. But
Jason, ESPN does have the Ocho weekend every few months,
okay.
and they do show those sports. And did
Okay,
you
because I
know
know like
there's a professional wiffle ball league?
oh, okay. I didn't know that. I do know that they have the cornhole divisions and leagues, and those are
Yeah,
kind of fun. They
and
make us look like bums. I
that
mean, those
stuff's on
guys make us.
ESPN, and those guys are throwing shots. But I'm talking like they have legitimate like wiffle ball fields and in pro teams. I'm not sure how much these guys are making, but they're using the bats and the wiffle balls you get from the kids section of Walmart and Target, and
Oh my god! And they're pitching too.
they're pitching.
Oh my gosh, that must be so difficult to hit a wiffle ball when someone's pitching at you with it, because
I
you can make those suckers move like a knuckleball without any problem whatsoever.
and that's what they were doing. It was so impressive. But the rise of America, the rise of the internet and clip based apps instead of television shows have allowed us to create our own highlight reels. So we're basically creating our own sports centers of highlights of games that we want to learn more about or players we want to learn more about. So I think worldwide sports are going to take a huge leap in America over the next, 20 to 30 years, just because of the availability of learning how to finally play the game.
And do you think that we as a culture are obsessed with any kind of sports? Why do you think we're obsessed with sports? Like, what do you think about sports that we like or that we're so attracted to?
It's the great common denominator for a lot of people. You can have people that are on different sides of the political aisle or different walks of life, and the one thing that can unite you would be your love for your team or the hatred of another team, or just anything like that. I think sports can become the great common denominator for everybody.
And I also feel like in every sport, it doesn't matter what sport you look at, there are good people and there are bad people.
Mm-hmm.
And you root against the bad people, like you don't want things to happen. And some of it isn't even warranted, right? Like some players, it's like, why am I rooting against this person? I
Yeah.
shouldn't root against him, Like, hey, he's just trying to do his thing, but you root against the person
Yeah.
because they're considered the bad guy, or they don't play fair, or they don't play, they cheat, or they're just a bad persona or whatever. And sports, it doesn't matter what sport, there's always one of those players where you just root against.
For me, and I'll be honest, for me, there's some, if you win too much, to me, it's like there's no fun in that. There's no parallel to everybody else. And I get you got to work your ass off to be great. And like the Kansas City Chiefs are a great example. That's a team that's done great winning, but you get tired of it. You get tired of always seeing, and then the way commentators just, just I guess draw themselves to them and just are always, in awe of everything Patrick Mahomes does, for example. It gets tiring after a while. And I read an article the other week talking about how if the Cincinnati Bengals were to go on to win the Super Bowl this year, which clearly they're not now, they were going to turn into the great villains.
They were.
They were going to be the next great villains of the sport because of how calm and cool Joe Burrow is, and how nothing gets phased by him, or he doesn't get phased by anything. He just goes and does his thing, and he's got ice in his veins, and he doesn't care who you are. He stays level, and he just finds ways to win. And if they could pull off a Super Bowl victory, that would make them, because I guess the way they were talking trash and whatever else, the way the media put it, that would make them the next great villain since the New England Patriots dynasty.
Oh, and I think that sorry to all the listeners out there, but I think the Dallas Cowboys are I hate them. And
Yeah.
there's no reason. There's no reason for me to hate that team. I have no vested interest, but there's just something about the constant media like attention and focus, and everyone talks about Dallas. I'm like, they're not even a good enough team to get through the
Yeah.
playoff rounds. They're not even a good enough team. They haven't been a good enough team since the 90s. Like,
Yeah.
why are we talking about them all the time?
Because it's branding. They've done a great
Yeah.
job in national exposure. They did such a great job branding. They have such a fan base everywhere. It doesn't matter if they're 3-13. They're going to have the most amount of nationally televised games they could have next year because that brand brings in ratings.
Yeah, and I mean the Patriots, obviously. I mean, Tom Brady has hatred from so many people, and all it's because he wins all the time. Now,
Yeah.
sure, he has a little bit of a dings on his character in terms of Inflategate and Spygate and just you look like a pretty boy, all those things that we love to hate in someone.
Yeah, but you know what though? At the end of the day, every hero needs a villain to conquer.
So
And
Scott, so most people don't realize this about you, but you were playing college football as linebacker for Purdue.
Purdue University, yeah.
Yeah, Purdue University. You blew out your knee,
Yeah.
obviously, and so that kind of derailed your career from the football perspective.
Third
Were
round
you a
draft pick
good?
by the Tennessee Titans, yeah.
Yeah, were you a good guy or were you a bad guy? Like, what was your persona? Were you like the enforcer type? that everyone hated?
I I,
Or were
I
you
think
like, oh man, the golden boy? Like this guy plays by the rules. He's got A for effort.
I think personally, anytime you play defense, you're gonna be a villain. You have to go out there, and there's no such thing as someone who's gonna toe the line. Like you're doing whatever you can to stop the other team. If it's almost like in terms of wrestling where you have a heel and a face. The faces being the good guys and the heels being the bad guys. I think you're almost a villain as a linebacker because you want to make that hit. They're trying to score, so you got to stop the guy from scoring.
Oh, and I remember, gosh, what was it, 2001, 2002? I don't remember. But man, you laid that guy out. He didn't even get off the turf for like 3 minutes. I mean, he was out cold, and then you kind of woke him up. But
Well,
man,
he sprained his vagina, and that's what happens when you go across the field. You can do that now with the rules they have, but back then, receivers and tight ends would get alligator arms if they knew you were hunting.
yeah, and you were hunting. You
Yeah.
were you were like in Florida hunting those alligators.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's fun to talk about stuff like that. In all reality, that's been a running joke with Jason and I for years. That goes back to an old football game you and I went to. God, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Where we were in an outback after a game,
Yep.
and we started talking to the waitress. I just made that whole thing up right there, and she
Yep.
was in awe, and it's been with us
Yeah.
ever since.
Well, and you bought a jersey that had Kern on the back, 54, right? Was it
Yeah,
56 or
it's
54?
54. Yeah.
54, yeah. And so ever since then, it's like, when did you play college? Oh yeah, Purdue. I
Yeah.
played linebacker at Purdue, and then I busted my knee up. Oh my god, I've never seen a knee shatter like that. And then she just was like, wow, like wow. All
it's
she could say was wow. I don't even think she said anything else. I
it,
don't
it's
think she
it's
said anything else.
it's all in the storytelling. It's all in the storytelling. But that was way back then. That was back when life was much easier and way less complicated. You could make up stories like that, and you could focus all your attention on sports and going to games and whatnot. And nowadays, I'm finding myself trucking kids around everywhere and trying to figure out which mayonnaise is the best mayonnaise on the market. So, uh, life changes on a dime if you're not careful.
Oh my God, the mayonnaise. That's funny. That's really funny. You've been shopping for mayonnaise and you're maybe switching off of just Cool Whip, not Cool Whip,
Yeah,
whatever, Kraft or whatever.
craft. Yeah, the
You're
funny thing,
switching mayonnaise.
and this is a very real thing. I watch a lot of cooking shows on YouTube, and you start hearing about the different reasons, like these chefs use different types of mayonnaise. So I started looking into it just out of random one day, and I follow a channel called Meat Church. I buy a lot of the products. It's a great store, meatchurch.com, out of Texas, and he swears by Duke's mayonnaise. It's a Southern mayonnaise because they use apple cider vinegar in it, and I didn't think much about it until I found some here locally, and I tried it, and I have to admit, I can see there's a total difference. There's a total
Really?
difference in it, and it sounds dumb to say, but Duke's mayonnaise is better than probably the Kraft. It's one of the best mayonnaises on the market here. That's American made, but there's also a Japanese brand. I can't think of the name. That's also very good because the Japanese take their mayonnaise very seriously too.
Oh, okay. Now I thought you were talking about like mayonnaise that's made like avocado oil or made differently, but you're talking about brands, actual brands of
Well,
mayonnaise.
and all these brands have that avocado oil, mayonnaise, and different types of like mayonnaise that hit the lime too. But yeah, I'm talking about different brands. Because even for it's like Coke and Pepsi, even though they're the same flavors, they're done differently. So they have different finishes on like your potato salads or your burgers or whatever you're using them for.
Now, is this something though that once you find that brand that you like, that you'll keep using it?
Yeah, I will probably from now on strictly stick with Dukes. Uh,
Oh, okay. Because you like the way it.
it's got nice flavor.
Okay.
It's just and for someone, I'm someone that I do a lot of cooking. I make a lot of my own stuff. So as far as versatility goes, you can do a lot with it. As for picnics, it's a good binder for different types of meats. So it just kind of a little bit of different flavor.
Yeah, and I wish I was a better connoisseur when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like,
Do you? Because you're a connoisseur of cigars, and I just told you I'm a connoisseur of mayonnaise now. So there's a big difference.
well, how about this? What I'm learning about cigars is there's certain flavors I like more than others. But if you were to give me a $500 cigar and a $50 cigar and a $5 cigar, no, I'd probably be able to tell now a little bit because there are certain things that I look for now in a cigar. And
Hmm.
I've noticed that the more expensive cigars that I've purchased have some of those qualities. So, okay, I take that back. You're going to find that when you start using the mayonnaise that you use for not only flavor, but there's going to be some functionality with it as well, probably
Exactly.
cooking or doing something else, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different functionalities. And I'll be honest, I didn't realize the different functionalities of mayonnaise until I started going down these YouTube rabbit holes. And like I said, I'm a big fan of Duke's, but I recently found Japanese mayonnaise here locally too. So I've got a bottle of that I'm excited to try because they do something different with it. And again, saying that out loud versus thinking it makes it sound way worse than it probably really is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that the listeners are probably not getting overly excited. So I'll have to word the discussion, the title of the podcast, in a way that doesn't sour them from, listening to the whole podcast.
Oh yeah, well I can only imagine what the notes we'll get from the EP on this, and what comments our friends might send over about my love for mayonnaise and yours for cigars. So,
I got
bear
to
with
be
me.
honest. Have you ever talked to someone who is like, if you ask them, do you like the Miracle Whip versus mayonnaise discussion? Have you ever asked someone who's like bona fide one way or the other? It's
Yeah,
hysterical, man. Like, you
I've been
talk
in the
about
room with
good
you when those
guys and bad
conversations
guys. Yeah, we
between
talk
Dave
about
and
good,
Ralph back in the day.
yeah, good guys and bad guys. Oh my gosh, those two would get on. Why would anyone eat Miracle Whip? It's the most disgusting thing ever. What the hell are you talking about? That's the only thing to eat. Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are the days, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Avatar, Dance with Wolves,
Exactly. It's all the
no
same.
different.
It's
It's
all
all
the
the same.
same. It's all the
It's all the
same.
same.
It's peanut M&Ms or plain M&Ms. Sometimes it's just Skittles. You never know what you have. You know.
Yeah. And hey, I have 3 goldfish.
Exactly. Let's talk
I,
about
I thought
things
we were
that don't
talking
matter.
about stuff. I thought we were talking about things that don't matter. Oh man, yeah. No, so I'm like you, not too excited about football. Uh, you know, kind of ready to just be done and I guess see what the Suns can do because they're talking about Devin Booker's coming back pretty soon.
Yeah,
So
it's almost time for me to switch to spring training, basketball, and hockey. So
hey, and you did talk about maybe coming down for a spring training game. So
yes, that's true. I need to talk to you about that offline too, because I
yeah,
got some dates
exactly.
I want to try to figure out, and
Okay.
it'd be a good time. It'd be a good
Yeah,
time. But
hey, we make it work. Hey, hold my beer for me.
yeah, exactly,
Hey, hold
exactly.
this.
So as we wrap up today's show, who are you pulling for in the Super Bowl? Do you care, or are you just going for the food? We want to know. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Carnage. If you have some Super Bowl food tips for our EP Tom up in the Denver metro area, or to get the best snacks, hit him up on liquid_EP on Twitter and Instagram.
Nice, beautiful. I love it. I love it. That sounds good. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, we have yeah, enjoy your mayonnaise, man. What are you making? What's your first stuff with mayonnaise? You making
well,
a
I've
sandwich?
been using it for a while on different things.
Yeah, do you cook or do you is it for cooking or is it for actual just putting in a hot dog or a hamburger or
It's
sandwich or
it's it's
whatever?
for both.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
tell you what my favorite thing with it though is I do love a good meatloaf sandwich.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if and I think I make a pretty good meatloaf. So the mayonnaise on it gives it a nice little tang with that apple cider vinegar in it. So I'm a fan of that right now. That's
Oh,
kind of what's
awesome.
that for me.
All right, man. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Well, now I'm gonna have to go look for Duke's mayonnaise. Okay.
Duke's mayonnaise. You can find it at your local Fry's.
And we have mini fries down here, so that'll work perfect.
Yeah, yeah. With that being said, go ahead and take us home, Jason.
Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. We always appreciate you. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some liquid carnage.